At the start of the story, we are taken to one of the most dangerous prisons in Spain, where the inmates are treated with extreme cruelty, as if they are not even human. But one day, the prisoners finally decide to fight back against the system. Their leader, Malamamender, starts a full-scale rebellion along with the other inmates. At the same time, a new prison guard named Oliver arrives at the facility. His duty is actually supposed to begin the next day, but hoping to impress his senior officers, he decides to show up a day early. Little does he know that this decision is about to put his life in danger. The moment Malamamender notices the keys hanging from a guard's hand, a large section of the ceiling suddenly collapses and lands directly on Oliver's head, knocking him unconscious. Malamamender secretly uses a thin steel wire hidden inside his mouth to unlock his handcuffs without making a sound. He then provokes one of the guards, and as soon as the guard gets close enough, he wraps the handcuffs around his neck and strangles him to death. Another guard quickly drags the unconscious Oliver into an empty prison cell, cell 211. By then, the riot has already turned into complete chaos. The prisoners break open the locks, take control of the corridors, and fires begin spreading throughout the prison. The entire facility falls into panic. Oliver's colleague considers taking him outside before it's too late, but another guard warns that if they try to escape with him, both of them will be caught and beaten to death by the inmates. Left with no other choice, they abandon Oliver inside the cell. Oliver remains unconscious while screams, fighting, and the sounds of destruction echo throughout the prison. From the control room, the prison director watches everything through the CCTV cameras, but he has no idea what to do. All he can do is observe and try to understand what Malamamender actually wants. A little later, one of Malamamender's men reaches Oliver's cell. Seeing an unfamiliar man lying there, he immediately slaps him hard across the face, waking him up. Oliver is still confused. The inmate asks him a few questions, but after getting no answers, he locks the cell door again and walks away. It doesn't take Oliver long to realize that a full-scale prison riot is happening, and that he is trapped right in the middle of it. He immediately removes his shoelaces, throws them into the toilet, and flushes them away. Then he hides his belt under the mattress and throws his wallet into the toilet as well. He knows that whenever a new prisoner arrives, these personal belongings are taken away. He is just about to remove his wedding ring when the cell door suddenly opens again. This time, Malamamender's man comes to take him away. Oliver is brought straight in front of Malamamender. Staying completely calm, he pulls out a cigarette, returns the pack, and casually says that he arrived at the prison only today. He also claims that the injury on his head was caused by a guard beating him. Oliver doesn't show even the slightest sign of fear. At first, Malamamender is suspicious because Oliver has such an innocent face that he looks like someone who has never hurt anyone in his life. But Oliver immediately answers with confidence. "What are you, some kind of fortune teller? You think you can tell everything about me just by looking at my face?" Hearing that, Malamamender falls silent for a few seconds. Oliver's fearless attitude earns his trust. Still, to make sure, Malamamender orders him to take off his pants. Oliver is completely confused, but he obeys. That unexpected moment ends up saving his life. Prisoners in this jail are not allowed to wear underwear, and by pure coincidence, Oliver doesn't usually wear any. That completely removes Malamamender's suspicion. Soon after, the inmates begin smashing every CCTV camera inside the prison. Oliver knows that if all the cameras are destroyed, he will lose his only connection with the people outside. He suddenly shouts, "Wait!" Everyone turns toward him. Oliver suggests leaving one camera intact so they can communicate their demands to the authorities. If they don't want the prison staff watching them, they can simply cover the camera with a piece of cloth instead of destroying it. Malamamender likes the idea. To earn even more trust, Oliver volunteers to cover the camera himself. He slowly climbs up and places the cloth over it, making sure his face is clearly visible on the camera first. The people in the control room immediately recognize that he is one of their own guards. Now, only Oliver and the staff inside the control room know his true identity. Even so, Malamamender still has some doubts. He takes Oliver to the guard whose keys had been stolen and asks if this is the same guard who attacked him. The moment Oliver and the guard see each other, they both realize that their lives depend on what happens next. Without saying a word, they both deny knowing each other. Despite that, Malamamender's men continue beating the captured guard without mercy. Meanwhile, the prison director finally calls in the special forces for help. A tactical team quickly arrives outside the prison and takes up positions around the building. The orders from above are simple. Only 2 guards have been taken hostage, so none of the prisoners' demands should be accepted. They are told to launch the operation immediately and take back control of the prison. However, at that very moment, shocking news changes everything. 3 highly important political prisoners are still inside the prison because they have not yet been transferred. The media has also learned about the riot, and now the entire country is watching the situation closely. These 3 prisoners are major political leaders. If anything happens to them, massive riots could break out across the country. But Mapanganib has already taken all 3 of them hostage. Using the CCTV camera, he informs the prison management about it. Now that those political prisoners are under his control, the inmates gain enormous leverage. Realizing how much their power has increased, all the prisoners begin celebrating with excitement. Sitting in the control room, the prison director realizes that the situation has completely slipped out of control. As a result, a negotiator is called in to speak with the prisoners. At the same time, Mapanganib's past record comes to light. 10 years earlier, he had led another prison uprising in which a guard was killed. Ever since then, he has ruled the prison like its unofficial boss. Mapanganib asks Oliver to help him write down their demands. The demands are simple. They want the prison cells to be improved, prisoners to be allowed family visits every 15 days, and proper medical treatment in real hospitals. Right now, doctors only examine them through the bars of their cells. He even tells Oliver about a prisoner who had a brain tumor. The doctors claimed he was lying about the pain in his head, and the poor man eventually died because no one believed him. Oliver doesn't find anything unreasonable about these demands. Watching the way Mapanganib leads the inmates, he starts to respect him. During their conversation, Oliver tells Mapanganib that his wife is pregnant and their baby is about to be born while he is trapped inside the prison. Mapanganib genuinely feels sorry for him. Oliver also makes up a fake story. He says that the man he killed was a drug dealer who murdered his younger brother, so he finally took revenge himself. Hearing that makes Mapanganib sympathize with him even more. Before long, Oliver is becoming one of the people Mapanganib trusts the most. By then, the negotiator arrives at the prison. Mapanganib tells Oliver to search him. While pretending to frisk him, Oliver cleverly reveals the location of the 3 political hostages. After that, Mapanganib presents all of his demands. The negotiator says that he will take the demands to the higher authorities and return with an answer. Before letting him leave, Mapanganib says, "My brothers have been working since morning. We're hungry, so bring us some good food." He also asks for Oliver to be allowed to speak with his wife. The negotiator replies that arranging a phone call is within his authority. He suggests taking Oliver outside for the call and then bringing him back. Trusting him, Mapanganib agrees, but he warns him very clearly that nothing must happen to Oliver. In a very short time, Mapanganib has placed an incredible amount of trust in him. For Oliver, this is the perfect chance to escape. But just before the gate is opened, a loud scream echoes from inside the prison. The moment Mapanganib hears it, he grabs the negotiator and orders Oliver to find out what happened. Oliver rushes over and discovers that 2 prisoners have gotten into a fight. One of them has been hit on the head and is lying unconscious. Watching through the surveillance cameras, the commander of the Special Forces assumes that someone extremely important has just been killed. He immediately orders his team to launch the assault. Oliver instantly realizes that if the Special Forces storm the prison now, there will be a massacre. Without wasting a second, he brings the 3 political hostages in front of the surveillance camera so the commander can see that they are all alive. The moment the commander sees them on the CCTV screen, he immediately cancels the attack. Negotiations begin once again. Oliver's quick thinking and courage have just saved everyone's lives. Still, Mapanganib finds it hard to believe that someone who supposedly arrived in prison only today has already become a hero. Oliver understands exactly what is going through his mind. Instead of taking the credit, he grabs Mapanganib's hand and raises it in front of everyone. "It was the boss who told me what to do." The prisoners begin celebrating, lifting both of them onto their shoulders. Mapanganib smiles and says, "You did a good job, but next time, if you do anything without asking me first, I won't spare you." Meanwhile, a false news report suddenly spreads that the 3 political leaders inside the prison have been killed, and that many others have also been injured. At the same time, Oliver's wife, Elena, is eating at a restaurant. She sees on television that the very prison where her husband works has become the center of a nationwide crisis. She immediately panics and tries calling Oliver, but every call says his phone is out of reach. After several attempts, she finally reaches one one of Oliver's colleagues. He tells her that Oliver has been assigned to another prison branch and that his phone is probably switched off because of work. But Elena can tell that something is wrong. She quickly gets into her car and drives straight to the prison. By then, many prisoners' family members have already gathered outside. Everyone just wants to know whether their loved ones are safe. Elena joins the crowd and keeps asking about Oliver, but no one gives her a proper answer. Inside the prison, Malama Mender and the other inmates are enjoying the food that has arrived. Oliver also listens with great interest as Malama Mender shares stories from his past. Just then, the prisoner who had started the earlier fight appears. Malama Mender immediately walks over and teaches him a harsh lesson because his reckless behavior almost ruined the entire plan and put everyone's lives at risk. During the distraction, Oliver quietly steals the walkie-talkie lying on Malama Mender's chair. He is deeply worried about Elena. Using the radio, he secretly contacts one of his colleagues and asks him to tell Elena that he is safe. His colleague reassures him and says that they have already spoken to Elena and that everything has been taken care of. At the same time, Malama Mender and the other inmates are watching the protest outside on the prison television. The streets are filled with angry relatives and every news channel is showing the crowd. Malama Mender decides that they need to contact the prison authorities again, but when he reaches for the walkie-talkie, it is no longer on his chair. He and the other inmates search everywhere, but they cannot find it. For a moment, Malama Mender wonders where it disappeared. Just then, Oliver brings it back and calmly says that he put it somewhere safe because if it fell into the wrong hands, it could create serious problems. His explanation makes perfect sense, so no one becomes suspicious. However, Apache has been watching everything from the balcony. He quietly returns to his room, takes out a small mobile phone hidden inside a tin box, and contacts a guard he knows. It turns out that Apache is actually an informant working secretly for the prison authorities. Through that contact, he immediately learns Oliver's real identity. Outside the prison, the crowd becomes even angrier. Some people even begin throwing stones at the guard's office. Seeing this, guard Utrilla, who is already furious, completely loses control. He gathers a group of guards armed with batons and orders them to charge into the crowd. Without any warning, they begin beating people mercilessly. Watching the live television coverage, Oliver suddenly spots Elena standing among the frightened crowd. He immediately grabs the walkie-talkie and angrily contacts his colleague. "You told me everything had been arranged. Then why is my wife standing out there?" Only then does his colleague realize that the media is broadcasting everything live, and the prisoners are able to see their families on television. The prison authorities immediately cut off the television signal inside the prison. Meanwhile, the situation outside becomes even more violent. Elena suddenly feels a sharp pain in her stomach. As the crowd is pushed from every direction, chaos breaks out. In the middle of it all, Utrilla strikes Elena with his baton. The blow knocks the helpless woman to the ground. The media cameras capture the entire incident. Inside the prison, the sudden loss of the television signal only makes the prisoners even angrier. Malama Mender immediately grabs the walkie-talkie and demands a list of everyone who has been injured. When Oliver asks about his wife, the prison authorities lie to him and claim that everything is fine. Just then, Apache walks up to Oliver and threatens him. "If you don't do what I say, I'll tell everyone who you really are." But Oliver already knows everything about Apache. Instead of being scared, he threatens him back. "I've only been in this prison since today, and I'm really a guard. They might forgive my deception, but you've been betraying these prisoners for years while pretending to be one of them." Apache is stunned. He never expected Oliver to know the truth. Outside the prison, Utrilla is officially suspended. According to the paperwork, he is being punished for injuring someone in the crowd. But in reality, the prison authorities are simply trying to protect him. Meanwhile, inside the prison, Malama Mender and Oliver continue discussing what to do next. Malama Mender tells him, "I'll take all the responsibility. Just tell them you only helped me because you had no choice. Your sentence will be much lighter and you'll be able to go back to your wife and your unborn child much sooner." Just then, the prison authorities finally send over the list of injured people. As soon as Malama Mender reads it, he realizes something is wrong. Only 4 names are listed. He immediately understands that the management is lying to them. Filled with rage, he says that they need to do something much bigger. He decides to kill one of the 3 political hostages. Oliver quickly objects. "If we kill one of them, the authorities won't spare anyone. They'll storm the prison and kill us all." Instead, he comes up with another idea. "We don't have to kill him, just cut off a piece of his ear. That will be enough to show them we're serious." Since the idea comes from Oliver, the job is given to him. He finishes it as quickly as possible so the hostage suffers as little pain as he can. Soon, the severed piece of the hostage's ear is sent to the prison authorities. Now they have no choice. They are forced to send the real list of injured people. But the moment Oliver reads it, his heart shatters. His pregnant wife Elena is one of the names on the list. At the same time, Apache secretly contacts someone outside the prison and gathers more information. He receives a video that clearly shows Utrilla beating Elena. Oliver watches the video over and over again. With every replay, his anger grows stronger. On one side, he has been risking his life inside the prison, and on the other, his wife has been beaten without mercy outside. Even his own colleague lied to him. Burning with rage, Oliver demands that Utrilla be sent into the prison immediately. Since the lives of the political hostages are at stake, the authorities cannot refuse. They send Utrilla inside alone. The moment he enters, Malamamender points a knife at him, takes control of him, and drags him away from the surveillance cameras. Oliver asks him about Elena, but Utrilla refuses to answer. When Oliver shows him the video, Utrilla immediately looks away. That is the final straw. Oliver completely loses control and begins beating him mercilessly. By now, he is no longer thinking clearly. He grabs the walkie-talkie and demands to speak with his wife. Finally, he learns the whole truth. Both Elena and their unborn baby are dead. The news completely destroys him. Oliver rests his head on Malamamender's shoulder and breaks down in tears. Seeing his pain, Malamamender orders all the prisoners to beat Utrilla together. But in a desperate attempt to save himself, Utrilla suddenly shouts the truth. "What are you all so upset about? He's a prison guard!" Every prisoner freezes in shock, but Oliver no longer cares. Nothing matters to him anymore except revenge. Right in front of everyone, he kills Utrilla. After losing his wife and unborn child, he no longer has any reason to live. Without saying another word, he quietly walks back into cell 211. He pulls out the belt he had hidden earlier and tries to end his own life, but he cannot even die. When he opens his eyes, he notices words written on the wall. It says that an old man died because no one believed the pain in his head. Those words were written by the previous prisoner who stayed in that cell. At that moment, Oliver realizes that the prisoner's pain has now become his own. He leaves behind his old identity forever and truly becomes the prisoner of cell 211. Elsewhere in the prison, some inmates begin doubting Oliver again, but deep inside, Malamamender knows that even if Oliver was once a guard, he now belongs with them. Their fate has become one. After reading the real list of injured people, the prisoners become even angrier. Seeing what has happened to their families, they lose all self-control. Simple negotiations are no longer enough. Now the government steps in and sends a senior official to negotiate with them. He says that most of their demands have been accepted, but just as he starts explaining the details, Oliver drags Utrilla's dead body into view and throws it in front of the camera. Looking straight into the camera, he says, "I killed him." Then he adds, "We'll only believe you if the Prime Minister appears on television himself and publicly announces that every one of our demands has been accepted." By now, Oliver has completely sided with the prisoners. Malamamender stands beside him and supports his decision. Either accept our demands or come here and collect the bodies. The negotiator has no choice but to report everything to the higher authority. Malamamender knows the government will never give in so easily. He orders his men to move the hostages to different locations and prepare for one final battle. Meanwhile, the prison authorities play a dirty game. They tell Malamamender that Oliver is actually a prison guard. They even promise that if he kills Oliver, his own sentence will be greatly reduced. When Malamamender looks through Oliver's file, he is shocked. But instead of changing his plan, he quietly continues. The hostages are moved to separate locations. Knife in hand, Malamamender walks toward Oliver. But when he looks into Oliver's eyes, he doesn't see a guard anymore. He sees a loyal man whose heart has been shattered by pain. He cannot bring himself to kill him. Instead, he places the knife in Oliver's hand and says, "I'll fight beside you." At the same time, Apache secretly reveals the real locations of the hostages to the prison authorities. The special forces immediately prepare to launch their assault. Suddenly, the television signal inside the prison comes back on. The news announces that all the old prison rules have been abolished. Oliver and Malamamender are stunned. For a brief moment, they believe they have finally won, but they have no idea that it is all a trap. The authorities broadcast the announcement only to calm the prisoners. As everyone starts celebrating, Apache is carrying out his own plan. He kills the prisoners guarding the hostages and positions himself as if he is protecting them. Moments later, smoke bombs are thrown into the prison. Oliver instantly realizes what is happening. He tells Malamamender, "Kill the hostages now, or everything will be lost." But as they rush upstairs, someone fires a nail gun at Oliver. The projectile strikes him badly. Malamamender runs to his side, but the wound is far too deep. Nothing can save him now. Apache suddenly shouts, "Both leaders are dead!" Hearing that, the prisoners lose all hope and surrender their weapons. Malama silently watches everything collapse before his eyes. He wipes away his tears. Before he can react, Apache shoots him in the back. Malama falls but still tries to fight back. Apache fires another shot. This time, he collapses to the ground for good. The special forces quickly take back control of the prison. Oliver also dies, groaning in pain from his fatal wound. After everything is over, one of Oliver's colleagues comes to identify his body. Filled with guilt, he opens the door to cell 211. Inside, he finds only a wedding ring. Oliver had always been an honest and decent man, but society took everything away from him. In the end, instead of living as a prison guard, he chose to die as a prisoner.